All right. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. One of the big changes for the beginning of 2025 is the new CPT coding updates. And as I go through them, if you want any specific rationales or examples, let me know in the chat box, and I can share information from the CPT changes book that gives the definition of why things are changing. So starting out, we've got a total of 420 changes. We've got some new codes, deleted codes, and revised. Whenever we have new codes, it could be something that the code was deleted and they've created a new one to replace it. When the codes are deleted, they're usually due to low utilization. And then revised codes is some kind of a language change to make things more uniform. But it doesn't affect the value of the code. So as you can see in our 270 new codes, 17 are telehealth. Of those 17, Medicare will not recognize 16. So what's that mean? We'll talk briefly on that at the beginning of our presentation. There's 101 U codes. Those are the proprietary lab analysis codes. Those represent 37% of our new codes. The other big chunk are coming out of the Category 3 codes, which are new and emerging technology. So that doesn't leave a ton of new codes throughout the book, but we are going to stop and look at them. Deleted codes, I mentioned, are usually deleted due to low utilization or something better has come along, for the example of our E&Ms this year. So I will get moving on. So does everybody... are you aware that there is a calendar of the code cycle release dates, and that is in either your electronic book or your paper book, depending on which one you're using, and it's towards the very back. But as you can see, you can find the release and effective dates for immune globulin, serum, recombinant products, vaccines, PLA, MAAA, molecular pathology, and CPT Category 3. Also remember to keep an eye on AMA's website, because they are own the proprietary rights to CPT. So if there are things such as when we went through COVID, they were sharing all of those CPT assistant updates, because normally you have to subscribe for those. But when we were in that pandemic state, they were sharing that information with everybody. Just a quick poll, if anybody is able to, on the chat box. How many of you are using an electronic book this year instead of a paper book? And I'll pop mine up here for you to see. Can you see this, Katie? So this is the...
I was muted, sorry. I could see that though, your bookshelf. Oh. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So as you can see, whoops, where'd it go? Book. Looks the same as your paper book. And when you get into it, so I'm just gonna go here because we're gonna be starting in here. It's gonna be word for word the same. It's not like it's a software tool. So if you haven't tried it, you should embrace it, get brave, and give it a whirl sometime. I've gone totally paperless this year, so that's a huge step for me. Okay, let me get this out of the way now. All right, so we're going to start with the telehealth services. I added a couple of slides on here. Just a couple weeks ago, we found out there was going to be an extension by Congress that will extend a lot of the Medicare flexibilities through March 31st. Now, this was happening at the same time when we were concerned about the shutdown of Congress and last-minute deals going on. So as it is right now, we will have that 3-month extension. Once we get to March 31st, though, we are going to have to keep an eye out to see what will and will not be allowed at that point. So let's look at that a little closer. Flexibilities that will continue. The originating site. The patient's home is still an originating site, at least through March 31st. And remember, these are Medicare's rules, not commercial payers. So even Medicare Advantage, you'll need to check with what they are viewing as what will be allowed. Geographic restrictions, that is being waived, because if we go back to true telehealth prior to the public health emergency, the only areas were rural. So those were RHCs and FQHCs. Expanded provider types, that hasn't changed yet. In-person requirements, the 6-month or the requirement for behavioral health, mental health visits, that waiving that in-person visit, that has been extended. Hospice care, acute hospital care at home, and then the FQHC, RHCs, that flexibility is there. What will expire, or what has expired? Pre-deductible coverage, telehealth services will no longer qualify for first dollar coverage. Cardiac pulmonary rehab, providers will no longer receive reimbursement for those provided through telehealth to patients in their home. Now, I grabbed this information. The link is down at the bottom of this slide if you want to read the full article. So again, it's something we need to keep our eye on to see what's going to happen once we get to March. With the new administration in place, we may see some shuffling and changes going on with that. Okay, so as we go through, anything that's in this dark rust red shade means that's deleted. When you have green, it's your new codes, and then any revisions are different color as well. So let's get started with E&M. We have the deletion of telephone evaluation and management services. All of those codes were deleted, and that is because our new telemedicine section, which I mentioned in my bookshelf. I'm going to bring this back over here a minute. So it starts right after your outpatient office visits. A lot of narrative here. If you are doing these services, please have a good understanding of this. I had people emailing me last week and saying, well, so what's happened with telemedicine? Okay, well, I've been telling you this for a month. We have to tell our providers and get that word out. So I'm going to give you a kind of a synopsis of all of this information. So we have the synchronous audio video visits. We have the, for new and established, we have the synchronous audio only, new and established, and then the virtual check-in. Those are the ones that we're going to be looking at here. And then those three are listed out as well. The 98016 is formerly the G2012, I believe it was. So let's look a little deeper. Whoops, sorry, I went too far. This is that introductory section. Read it, be aware of everything that's included or not included. The services are either based on medical decision-making or time. Time on the date of the encounter. Services must exceed 10 minutes of medical discussion, and that's for the audio-only calls. So remember, telemedicine can include the audio and video, first box on this slide, 98000 to 98007. Audio only, meaning on the phone, no camera, no video communication, 98008 to 98015. And then that brief check-in. And that is something on the electronic. It's not going to be